The death toll from nationwide protests in Iran surpassed 2,000 people on Tuesday, activists said, and Iranians made phone calls abroad for the first time in days after authorities severed communications during a crackdown on demonstrators. According to Associated Press, video of the protest last week showed burning buildings and large numbers of protesters in the streets. Some protesters were heard in the footage chanting slogans calling for the fall of Supreme Leader Khamenei. The number of dead climbed to at least 2,003, as reported by the US-based human rights activists news agency. That figure dwarfs the death toll from any other round of protest or unrest in Iran in decades and recalls the chaos surrounding the country's 1979 Islamic Revolution. The demonstrations began a little over 2 weeks ago in anger over Iran's ailing economy and soon targeted the theocracy, particularly 86-year-old Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Soon after the new death toll became public, U.S. President Donald Trump wrote on his Truth Social platform, "Iranian Patriots, keep protesting, take over your institutions." He added, "I have cancelled all meetings with Iranian officials until the senseless killing of protesters stops. Help is on its way." Trump did not give details. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, speaking to the Qatar-funded satellite news network Al Jazeera in an interview aired Monday night, said he had continued to communicate with U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff. "The communication continued before and after the protests and are still ongoing," Araghchi said. However, Washington's proposed ideas and threats against our country are incompatible. He had no immediate reaction to Trump's latest online comments. The activist group said 1,850 of the dead were protesters and 135 were government-affiliated. Another 9 children were killed, along with 9 civilians it said were not taking part in protests. More than 16,700 people have been detained, the group said. With the internet down in Iran, gauging the demonstrations from abroad has grown more difficult. The AP has been unable to independently assess the toll. Iran's government hasn't offered overall casualty figures.
Activists say at least 2,000 people have been killed in a crackdown on nationwide protests in Iran. These activists warn that this death toll is likely to rise even higher, making it the most violence that Iran has seen since the years around its 1979 Islamic Revolution. Iranian state television did acknowledge these deaths. They read an official statement that said Iran had offered many martyrs to God without elaborating. But even that acknowledgement just shows just the breadth and the scale of the violence that struck the country. We know this because telephones turned on today in Iran. People with mobile phones were able to call internationally for the first time. Now the rest of the world can't call into Iran, and the internet remains shut down for the outside world there, and text SMSing, witnesses say, isn't working. They also described a really tense scene on the streets with anti-riot police as well as members of the Revolutionary Guard's all-volunteer Basij force still visible at major intersections. All this comes as U.S. President Donald Trump had threatened to attack Iran if it killed peaceful protesters. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas al-Araghchi had been trying to say that he was still in touch with American officials, but Trump today offered a message online which he said help was on the way for Iran without elaborating. That just raises the chances, potentially, of a U.S. strike that could cause more tensions in the Middle East.